Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at one of the biggest possible flexes in the Open Master League. This trainer has a perfect IV level 50 SOLGALEO. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now with the SOLGALEO, they are running a Rayquaza on the lead, and as the closer they have Ho-Oh. So they're running SOLGALEO as the safe switch, and they honestly have a ton of success with the team. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Perfect IV SOLGALEO in the Open Master League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a tough lead, Rayquaza into Mamoswine. Immediate safe switch into SOLGALEO. Mamoswine staying in, trying to make it to the high horsepower, but before they can, SOLGALEO goes for the Iron Head. Opponent calls the bait, and they guess wrong, losing their entire Mamoswine. In comes Dragonite, but Dragonite is not going to appreciate the Psychic Fang spam from the SOLGALEO. SOLGALEO able to connect with not one, but two Psychic Fangs. SOLGALEO shares the same typing as Metagross, but it is significantly tankier. So even though it's about at half HP here, Dragonite is going to need multiple superpowers if it wants to KO. And at this point, I think you just let the SOLGALEO go. Opponent goes for a Dragon Claw, that's not going to cut it, and we see a simultaneous switch, Rayquaza into their final Pokemon, which is Metagross. From here, there's a very straightforward path to victory. Rayquaza is just going to continue to debuff the Metagross, get it as low as it possibly can, and from there, Ho-Oh can probably incinerate down the entire rest of the team. The Metagross will be extremely low HP, and the Dragonite is already in the red health as well. So Metagross gets the farm down, but this Meteor Mash is going to be resisted and double debuffed. This will do absolutely nothing. Switch timer is up, opponent gonna send in the Dragonite. Dragonite resisting the Incinerates, but they just don't have enough HP remaining. Ho-Oh commits the shield. Ho-Oh looking for the farm down, deciding to go for the Sacred Fire, fishing for a potential attack drop. Sacred Fire will get shielded and gets the attack drop as well. Ho-Oh gets the Incinerate down, and the opponent concedes the match. Moving into the next match, we see a very neutral lead, Rayquaza into Dragonite. A lot of Dragonites like to catch out of this lead. This opponent actually decides to stay in. No catch onto a Fairy or a Steel type happens, and instead, Dragonite is going to commit the shield and then fire back with the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw will be shielded. Rayquaza should be able to make this Breaking Swipe with a sliver of HP remaining, and that does appear to be the CMP tie. Breaking Swipe into the Dragonite will get the KO. What's the opponent going to be sending in here? Do we see the pivot? In comes Excadrill. Exca can't really farm down here as the Mud Shots are double resisted. So even though the Rayquaza is very low, it's able to connect with the Breaking Swipe. Exca looking for the farm down. I stand corrected. It makes the farm down. In the back, it's Metagross, and Metagross is about to get absolutely cooked by Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh is going to be able to withstand these Meteor Mashes, no problem. Ho-Oh looking to farm up to 100 energy here. Oh, Ho-Oh actually looking for a potential full Incinerate farm down, going past 100 energy. Meteor Mash will connect. Ho-Oh looking for the farm down, can't quite get there. Oh, that is unfortunate. And now it's all up to SOLGALEO to try and close out this game. The issue is that Exca is loaded on energy, but the good news is the Exca is very low. Exca fires off the Drill Run. SOLGALEO tanks that surprisingly well. SOLGALEO committing the shield. SOLGALEO just needs the Fire Spin farm down here. Excadrill cannot make another move, and that's game over. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Rayquaza into Dialga. Safe switch into SOLGALEO. Opponent is going to switch into Kyogre, and this is a terrible matchup for the SOLGALEO. SOLGALEO is just going to spam out as many debuffs as it possibly can. While this is not a good matchup for the SOLGALEO, the good news is this should hopefully clear the way for the Ho-Oh to help sweep in the endgame. We're going to see an undercharge by the SOLGALEO on the Psychic Fangs, and Kyogre shields. That's actually quite nice. SOLGALEO farming up and firing off the Psychic Fangs. Was that a CMP tie here? And it was. So SOLGALEO, even in a bad matchup, putting up a surprisingly good fight and grabbing a shield advantage that the Ho-Oh should be able to use in the endgame here. In comes the Ho-Oh in the back. It's a Mewtwo, and Mewtwo's pacing is problematic for Ho-Oh here, as Ho-Oh just gets massively outpaced by Mewtwo. That Psycho Cut Psy Strike combination is absolutely deadly. Firing off the Sacred Fire into the Mewtwo, we will see the shield from the Mewtwo, and unfortunately for the Ho-Oh, we do not see that important attack drop. Firing off the Brave Bird, losing CMP to the Mewtwo, and this is going to be no-shielded by the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh going for the undercharged Brave Bird here. Brave Bird will still KO. Dialga is going to get big farm. Switch timer comes up. In comes Rayquaza. Rayquaza in a bit of a difficult situation here. This is not a good matchup, but Rayquaza does have the shield advantage. Uses the final shield, going for the breaking swipe. This will get Dialga deep into the red. Can Rayquaza get the farm down of the Dialga? Yes, it can. We see a familiar lead in the next match, Rayquaza into Mamoswine. Same game plan as before, immediate save switch into the Solgaleo. Opponent is going to eventually switch out, but they send in Dialga, so they are absolutely core broken by the Solgaleo save switch. Solgaleo already at a second Psychic Fangs here, continuing to apply pressure to the Dialga and debuff them more and more. Solgaleo will be able to tank a Draco Meteor from here if it wants to, and it's gonna no-shield. Dialga goes for the Draco, and Solgaleo just so bulky, able to make it to 2 more Psychic Fangs. Opponent has to double shield if they want to make a play for switch. They're going to let the Dialga go, but now they've lost switch advantage, which means Mamo is no longer going to be aligned against Rayquaza. They're firing off the Avalanche. We see a shield from the Solgaleo. Solgaleo goes for the Psychic Fangs, but we see a catch by the opponent as they catch it onto Dragonite. Dragonite will be answered by Rayquaza here. Rayquaza will be outpaced as Dragonite does have the 1 Dragon Breath head start. Dragon Claw will barely not KO, and unfortunately Rayquaza will get farmed down. Could have potentially fired off the breaking swipe there, but instead deciding to let it go and leaving it all up to Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh now in a position where it's looking to incinerate down, going for the Sacred Fire. Opponent has 2 shields, but just looking for the attack drop and gets the attack drop, continuing to farm up with the Ho-Oh. Perfect charge move timing from the opponent, overfarming as much as they can. Avalanche gets the shield. We see a switch into the Solgaleo, and Solgaleo secures the win. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Rayquaza into Heatran. Rayquaza does win the 1 shield and the 2 shield. The opponent is going to save switch into the mirror, but since switch takes a turn, they're going to get outpaced here. Breaking swipe gets the shield, and now we see the counter switch into Solgaleo. The opponent does build up to the Dragon Ascent, but Solgaleo can very comfortably tank a debuff Dragon Ascent. Opponent goes for the Breaking Swipe, and now we're going to see the Psychic Fangs immediately fired off by the Solgaleo. Going for a slight undercharge there, looking for the farm down. They make the last second charge move here, but again, Solgaleo will be able to withstand it. Opponent actually running Hurricane, so they have not yet switched over to the Dragon Ascent. Dragon Ascent absolutely preferred. Solgaleo now in a bad matchup, but is trying to get as many debuffs as possible onto the Heatran. Heatran can use this as an opportunity to get quite a lot of energy, which is a bit troublesome as Stone Edge is not what Ho-Oh or Rayquaza want to see. Unfortunate charge move timing from the opponent. They bait with the Magma Storm and get the shield from the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh now going to fire off the Brave Bird here. The Heatran has taken a lot of damage. They're forced to shield, and we see a switch into the Rayquaza. Rayquaza will catch the Stone Edge. That's going to be lethal. Ho-Oh going to have to deal with the final Pokemon, which is Melmetal. Melmetal not going to appreciate Sacred Fire here. Ho-Oh, tough choice to make. Kind of have to shield the Rock Slide. Oh my goodness, Ho-Oh over farming, trying to get to 100. Rock Slide number 2 will connect. Ho-Oh now incredibly low, but only 1 Incinerate away from the Brave Bird here. Sacred Fire will connect. In comes the Heatran, and they cannot make the Magma Storm. Brave Bird into the Heatran will secure the win. Positive lead in the next match, Rayquaza into Ho-Oh. If the opponent stays in, they can potentially go for a Brave Bird and dip play, as Brave Bird does so much damage to Rayquaza. Rayquaza is just going to farm up energy and shield up as Ho-Oh goes for the Brave Bird and dip. In comes Dialga, and Dialga will be met with the loaded Breaking Swipe from the Rayquaza. Breaking Swipe connects, and now in comes Solgaleo, and Solgaleo going for the Psychic Fangs right away. The Dialga is debuffed. We already know Draco Meteor wouldn't KO, but now it's going to do even less damage thanks to that Breaking Swipe debuff. Dialga, no reason to bait. They go for the Draco Meteor. Solgaleo able to withstand that damage. Solgaleo gets the full farm down. and leaves with a lot of energy. Unfortunately, the energy isn't particularly useful going up against the Ho-Oh, but at this point, you're just looking for whatever chip damage you can get. Solgaleo at 2 more Psychic Fangs here, looking to put some pressure onto the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh starting to run out of HP here. They're now double debuffed, and a 3rd Psychic Fang is being thrown. Ho-Oh is going to let that through. Ho-Oh leaves with energy, though. In comes Rayquaza. Rayquaza is going to commit the shield. Does the Dragon Tail KO here? It does. In the back, it's Zacian farming up and going for, built up to the Dragon Ascent, but going for the Breaking Swipe. And the opponent calls it too. No. Oh, that is extremely unfortunate. They go for the Wild Charge. And now just going for another Breaking Swipe here. Breaking Swipe is going to be no-shielded again, but the Zacian is now double debuffed. So even when they fire off Wild Charges here, the Wild Charges are just not going to cut it. Man, I would have loved to see the Dragon Ascent land. I mean, the good news is, it's a win. I just love seeing Dragon Ascents absolutely destroy Zacian. Neutral lead in the next match, Rayquaza into Mewtwo. Mewtwo does win the zeros, but as long as a shield is used in the 1 shield or the 2 shield, Rayquaza does emerge victorious. Psystrike does a lot of damage. Rayquaza throwing 1 Dragon Tail and going for the Breaking Swipe. As you can see, Mewtwo able to withstand that damage. Opponent tries to go for the snipe with the Dialga, but now Dialga is going to have to deal with the menace that is Solgaleo. Solgaleo goes for the Psychic Fangs, getting that early debuff, and just letting these Fire Spins do more and more damage as more Psychic Fangs are thrown. They go for the Iron Head. That just does absolutely nothing to Solgaleo. Solgaleo going for Psychic Fangs number 2. Solgaleo continuing to farm. Solgaleo not going to quite make it to Psychic Fangs number 3, but this is just going to be another Iron Head. Solgaleo able to withstand that damage. Opponent is now going to switch into a Giratina. Giratina is going to get hit with a Psychic Fangs. Rayquaza gets a little bit of damage, but this is looking tough here, as Ho-Oh does not want to have to deal with this Giratina. Giratina firing off a charge move here. We are going to see the shield from the Ho-Oh, and it is the Shadow Ball. But Ho-Oh in an incredibly difficult spot here, going to bait with the more expensive Sacred Fire, not wanting to lower its defense just yet. And getting the shield from the Giratina. Giratina has another charge move here. Such a tough call to make. Shielding up, and it is the Shadow Ball. But unfortunately, they try and catch onto the Dialga. Is this a potential win con? They send in the Mewtwo, though, to catch Ho-Oh's energy. Sacred Fire will KO. In comes the Giratina. We see a switch into the Solgaleo. And all the opponent has to do is no shield here, and they should have it won. But they shield. In comes the Ho-Oh. Can Ho-Oh survive? If it's the Shadow Ball, I think it's going to get KO'd. Shadow Ball KOs the Ho-Oh, and that's game over. Picking up a terrible lead in the final match, Rayquaza into Togekiss. Throwing 1 Dragon Tail, safe switching into the Solgaleo. Togekiss farming up a ton of energy, and now sending in a Mud Slap Rhyperior. Going for the Psychic Fangs right off the bat. We see the no shield from the Rhyperior. These Mud Slaps are adding up. Solgaleo full send in the Iron Head. Do they respect it? They do not. Massive damage onto the Rhyperior, and just like that, Solgaleo is winning switch advantage as it shields the superpower. This is looking quite nice, as now the Togekiss is going to have to deal with either the Steel type Solgaleo or going up against the Fire type that is Ho-Oh. They're firing off the Ancient Power, but that's not going to KO. Solgaleo is just way too bulky. Solgaleo going for the Iron Head here into the Togekiss. Togekiss will commit the shield, and after a lot of charms, finally get the KO. But now, in comes Ho-Oh. In the back, it's Melmetal, and we see a switch into Rayquaza to absorb the Rock Slide. Unfortunately, this is going to be a bit of an awkward endgame here, as if the Melmetal overfarms properly, things definitely could get dicey. Melmetal no shields the Breaking Swipe, but even with resisted damage, Rayquaza is making its presence felt to this Melmetal. Rock Slide will get the KO. Back in comes Ho-Oh. This is a debuffed Rock Slide, but it will get the shield from the Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh looking for the potential farm down here. Ho-Oh gets the farm down. All that's left is the Togekiss, and it just cannot make it to the Ancient Power. Sacred Fire into the Togekiss, gets the shield, and gets the attack debuff. Could have gone for the Brave Bird there, but wanting to finish the game with the Sacred Fire. Ho-Oh, it looks like does end up going for the Brave Bird after all, and Brave Bird will KO the Togekiss. All in all, level 50 Solgaleo is an absolute force to be reckoned with. It is extremely tanky, and being able to debuff opponents with Psychic Fangs can really set up other Pokemon for success, even in its bad matchups. I lucky traded all of my spare Cosmogs. I think the best I got was an 89 IV. I think it's like a 15, 13, 12, which I'll probably build one day when I have the XLs. I'm nowhere close to the XLs right now, but man, I can't even imagine the Hundo Solgaleo. That is a serious flex. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.